Our guest is Ms. Noorjehan Aziz, a globally recognized GRC, AI governance, and ESG leader with over a decade of experience turning complex risk landscapes into actionable ethical framework. As AI rewrites the rules of business, who's making sure those rules are actually trustworthy?
Really important in today's world. It starts with only one question. Can we trust the decision the system makes? Can we trust it?
With the rise of AI technologies, how do you balance the need for innovation with the ethical responsibility?
Organizations that succeed with AI will not just be like the fastest adopters, they will actually be the ones that build trust around AI early, because in the future, trust will become a competitive advantage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and here's a question worth sitting with. As AI rewrites the rules of business, who's making sure those rules are actually trustworthy? Today, we meet one of the people doing exactly that. Our guest is Ms. Noorjehan Aziz, a globally recognized GRC, AI governance, and ESG leader with over a decade of experience turning complex risk landscapes into actionable ethical frameworks. From enterprise ISO systems at Saudi business machines to shaping AI governance guardrails for Gen AI Global's AI 2027 initiative, Ms. Noor sits at the intersection of strategy, compliance, and the future of responsible AI. So, Ms. Noor, it is a true honor to have you with us today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Sunny. It's a pleasure to be here with you and Icon yourself at Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. For me, governance is not about just slowing business down. It's about helping organizations grow responsibly, make better decisions, build trust that lasts. Today, with AI, like artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and rising global risk, governance has become like at the center, completely. It's become more far strategic. It's not just operational. It sits like at the center of resilience, ethics, long-term business value. So I'm just so excited to be part of this conversation and looking forward to it.
Likewise, and I love that energy, Ms. Noor. I'm thrilled to dive into this conversation. And you have had such a dynamic career, and I know our listeners are eager to learn from your experiences. So, what are we waiting for? Let's start.
Yes, we should.
First things first, you have had such an impressive career in GRC, AI governance, and compliance. But I'm really curious to hear about your journey. How did you first get into this field?
Nostalgia at its best. I entered GRC, like, let's say, through operational reality. I was more into operations initially, not just in like theory wise, but early in my career, I noticed that most business failures were not caused by the lack of talent. They had a lot of talent, a lot of people, a lot of effort. But the only thing that was actually missing was they had unclear ownership, weak decision making, and unmanaged risk. That completely changed how I viewed organizations. Working across organizations like technology, logistics, e-commerce, they all taught me governance is just not paperwork. Everything is usually paperwork, but it's not just that. It's structure, accountability, trust. That's what I learned. I learned that the most important lesson early on is policies alone do not change organization. Culture does. That mindset, that is important. That mindset pushed me into deeper and deeper into the enterprise risk, compliance, business continuity, and now recently artificial governance. So today, I see GRC in my everyday life, like professionally, personally. It's a strategic enabler everywhere for me as a whole. So the best governance frameworks are the ones that allow organizations to move faster, smarter, and more responsibly. That's what I think, honestly speaking. That's how I started. That's where I am.
So that's such a vivid picture you painted, Ms. Noor. And it's fascinating how those early moments end up becoming the backbone of what we do. And the way you describe navigating those turning points, that's the kind of insight people rarely talk about openly. So what a great start to this conversation. Let's keep it alive. Uh,
Yeah.
Ms. Noor, I would love to hear more about how you approach responsible AI oversight. With the rise of AI technologies, how do you balance the need for innovation with the ethical responsibility? to ensure these technologies are governed in a way that aligns with sustainability and data integrity? Also, are there specific frameworks or principles you follow when making sure AI systems stay aligned with ethical standards?
Oh my, that is a lot to talk about. Definitely responsible AI, something that's really, really important in today's world. It starts with only one question. Can we trust the decision the system makes? Can we trust it? That's such a hard question. It's such an important question. AI governance is not about blocking innovation. It's about ensuring innovation scales safely, ethically. So for me, three things matter most: data integrity, explainability, and human accountability. Human in the loop is so very important. Organizations need to understand where the data comes from, how the decisions are made, who remains more accountable when systems fail. So one challenge today is that AI adoption is moving fast, like super fast, right? And then the governance is slowly maturing. Now that creates a risk, that creates a gap. We cannot have that gap. We really need to work on that gap. So I believe organizations that succeed with AI will not just be like the fastest adopters, they will actually be the ones that build trust around AI early, because in the future, trust will become a competitive advantage. That's what I think about it.
Absolutely, Vishnu. The way you brought that tension between bold innovation and ethical clarity to life, that's the kind of perspective people really get to hear from inside the boardroom. And also talked about the human potential. All right, so you have worked across industries like technology, logistics, and e-commerce, each with its own unique set of challenges when it comes to governance and risk management. Now, tell me, how do you adapt your governance frameworks to meet the specific needs of each sector? Also, part B of my question is, in your experience, what are some of the most common gaps organizations face in these areas, especially when it comes to cross-industry collaboration?
Course, every industry has a different language, a different risk language. Each industry, like you mentioned, I've worked across logistics, e-commerce, technology recently. So I've learned this very clearly when working across these different industries, that even a small delay or a supplier issue can create a chain reaction. It's like dominoes, right? It just falls, everything falls if one thing is like an error. So I remember situations where teams had to move like quickly because continuity, delivery, coordination, all are at risk at the same time. Literally having like those midnight calls, the scramble, the chaos everywhere. So yeah, I've seen that. In e-commerce especially, the pressure is different. Speed matters. The customer trust, the data protection matters even more. In technology, in this industry of technology, the risks are like more faster, especially around corporate governance, cybersecurity, digital change, third party systems. So I never treat governance as a one size fits it all. No. I first understand how the business works, where value is created, where things can break, and who owns that decision, because ownership is so important. But the common gaps are usually the same: team working in silos, all separately, unclear accountability, weak third party oversight, risk management becoming reactive. Only when it happens, you want to go and take action. But it's supposed to be proactive. You need to be prepared from before. So for me, strong governance is practical. It should connect to the people and the process and technology and decisions in a totality. Because at the end, governance is not all about controls. It's about helping different teams work together with clarity before pressure turns into crisis. That's what I think.
Absolutely. That scene you opened with, the midnight calls and the scramble, that stuck with me. And, it really shows how different sectors demand different muscles and how governance is as much about people as it is about process. Rightly said. Okay, so, all right, moving ahead. I'm really intrigued by your focus on performance governance and digital trust. Now, Snood, in an era where cyber risks are becoming more sophisticated and data privacy concerns are rising, what role do you think governance plays in building trust with stakeholders, particularly in tech and e-commerce sectors? And how do you ensure transparency and security in these fast-paced environments?
Oh my God, Sunny, you would agree with me when I say this. Digital trust is now like a business currency. It's a new currency that's going on around. I remember one late night situation where teams were like scrambling after concerns emerged around system exposure and data visibility. The pressure in the room changed immediately because it was no longer just a technical issue. It became a trust issue. Customers may never see the controls behind the scenes, but they immediately feel the impact when trust is broken. That is where governance becomes critical. It creates confidence through accountability, transparency, preparedness, being proactive. So, one mistake organizations make is like treating cybersecurity and privacy just as like technical topics, just get it like a patchwork, but they're actually leadership and business risks. In the fast moving tech and the e commerce environments that we are in right now, speed matters. Of course it does. But speed without the governance, it creates exposure, risks. So I believe in practical guardrails. You need to have the China wall around you, right? Clear ownership, tested controls, vendor oversight, incident response plans, and the transparent communication is required to mitigate those crisis complete risks. Trust is not built like during only success. It's built through difficult moments, during the midnight scramble, and how responsibly organizations respond under pressure. That is the most important thing.
Beautifully put, Miss Noor. And that scene you opened with, that midnight scramble, really makes the stakes tangible. It shows how trust is built in small, gritty moments, not in headlines. Okay, great conversation till now. So let's move ahead, and I welcome you to our rapid fire round. We are going to keep this light and quick. Just quick, instinctive answers, no overthinking. So, are you up for it?
Yes, completely excited. Let's do it.
All right. So, let me shoot you with the first question. Simple one.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Oh my God, in the current world, all I do is when I get up is check the global peace. Everyone is peace and calm and the global updates. That's all I do nowadays. Yes.
All right. Okay. Next one. If not in the world of GRC and AI, what would you be doing?
Ah, that's a good one actually. My people skills are strong, so I've already done MCing. So MCs, RJs, VJs, mostly with people skills, psychology, behavioral science. That's mostly my strength. So that's what I would be doing.
Great. Next one. Your favorite way to unwind after a long day at work?
Learn something new if I can have the energy, of course, after work is over, and something interesting every day. I try to do that, and then catch up on my Z's, my sleep, which is so precious.
All right. Nice. Uh, Moving on. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, I surprise myself all the time. Honestly, I don't know how I can say, but I think I'm creative. I'm more creative than people think, and I do have a good sense of humor. People don't realize that.
All
They'd be
right.
surprised
Great.
to know.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Cleopatra, the lady, the queen, who is not just a queen, but a savvy politician. Oh my God, she's amazing. She's got this high intellect, capabilities. She's the master of self-preservation. So I want to learn all that over a dinner chat with her, definitely.
Beautiful. What's the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
Oh, I'm all full of adventure, hiking through the raw jungles and the mountain trails in Indonesia. Done that, definitely standing at the edge of cliffs, overlooking those massive drops. The better yet, skydiving from that 13,000 feet in the sky and trekking through the steep hills before sunrise. Done all that, all adventure.
Adventure junkie. Okay.
Yes.
Next one. One piece of advice you would give to your younger self.
Uh, just do you. There's no other way to live life without regret, and don't like think twice. You'll be fine and you will always love yourself.
Beautiful. What's your favorite book?
The Art of War. The Chinese author, the one who wrote Art of War, it's timeless. It has all these strategies which makes you have these decision making thinking. It's really a good piece of writing, really a good piece.
Absolutely. That's a must read.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. If you had to pick one superpower, what would it be?
Oh no, no one superpower. Can I just have them all at one time, please?
To name one?
It's like a tough one to choose. But if I had to, Sunny, I would say, like, I really want to read your mind right now. I want to think what you're thinking. That's what I do with everyone. So I want telepathy. If that is like the top most of the thing. So I want to understand what people are thinking. So that will help me make my decisions and help them make their decisions better. So that's like the scope of my work, eventually telepathy.
Great. Okay. All right. What's the last TV show you binge watched?
Binge watched Black Mirror. I found it like it's a really long marathon that I had done like even till the last weekend, right? Black Mirror is something that's like fascinating with AI, technology, human behavior. It's like all across in my thought process. That was the last binge watch, Black Mirror. People should watch it.
Great. So that was fun. That was quick. That was a rapid fire round. Moving on to the next segment of questions, talking about the challenges that the industry faces. Let me ask you, Ms. Noor, you have been at the forefront of building resilient organizations through governance and compliance. And you have seen how critical strong ethical frameworks are to long term success.
True.
In recent years, we have witnessed high profile cases where organizations face major consequences due to governance failures, like the Wirecard scandal or corporate misconduct in some large companies. In your experience, how do you think governance structures need to evolve to prevent such situations in the future? That is part A of my question. Part B, what should be the role of a leader in fostering a culture where ethical decision making is the foundation?
Oh my, that's a lot to speak about. Actually, we cannot just speak about that in like 2, 3 minutes, but I will try to encompass my opinion in that. I would say, like we all agree, right, Sunny? Like most governance failures do not just happen suddenly. We have those warning signs behind us. Even when a tsunami hits or a hurricane hits, we all have that nature geographical signs coming, and we all know those warning signs. So it's sometimes it starts with like one number that does not make sense, right? It just does not. One concern that is ignored, one person in the room who's afraid to speak up for whatever reason they do not want to. So that silence after an uncomfortable question is often where governance either works or fails. The real issue is actually like not usually the absence of policies, not absence of paperwork. It's the weak culture. It's the poor escalation, unchecked authority, and the leadership environments where people stop challenging decisions. I mean, they're scared. They obviously need to protect themselves, their salaries, their work atmosphere. They're very scared. That's why they do that. So governance today must move beyond compliance reporting. It needs to become proactive, transparent, connected to real decision making. I strongly believe in tabletop rehearsals. Organizations should practice difficult scenarios before they happen, whether fraud indicators, cyber incidents, whistleblower concerns, which is really in the talks right now everywhere. Of course, AI misuse, the deep fakes. Sunny, you should be very much aware of these things. Leadership is critical here. Employees follow behavior more than policies. If leaders reward only speed, results, ethics eventually becomes really weak. Strong governance cultures are built when leaders normalize accountability, transparency, difficult conversations before a crisis forces them. So I believe that is how it should be. Leadership, culture.
That was incredibly insightful. And your point about tabletop rehearsals, changing outcomes is the kind of practical board level advice people actually need to hear. Great. So before we wrap up, Ms. Noor, in addition to your extensive work in governance and AI, you have also joined Directors Institute.
Yes.
What was it about the institute that attracted you? And how has being part of the DI community impacted the way you approach decision making and leadership at the board level?
Wow, Directors Institute was an angel come in my life. It was what attracted me was basically because it felt practical, not just generic ceremonial. I remember this one conversation with I had with one of my peers where they challenged my thinking in a very simple but really powerful way. They said, at the board level, the question is not only what can go wrong, but what are we not willing to see? That stayed with me, like really stayed with me. It hit me hard. The institute reinforced that governance, Directors Institute, it reinforced the governance. It's not just about the compliance, it's about the judgment, resilience, ethics, responsible decision making under uncertainty. So being a part of this Director Institute's community exposed me to leaders, so many of them across different sectors, and those conversations that we keep talking, hearing, reading, that's sharpened the way I look at strategy and risk. So it's also turned one habit into a discipline for me. That's like ask difficult questions early before the risk become crisis. So for me, let's say strong governance is ultimately about stewardship, not control. It's about creating that kind of environment where truth can be spoken early, decisions are tested properly, and leadership thinks beyond that immediate result. So it's really created an impact in my life, definitely.
Absolutely. That hallway conversation you described, that kind of gentle, rooted truth from a peer, that exactly the kind of learning boards don't talk about enough. Hearing how the institute turned that into a repeatable habit makes the idea feel practical, not theoretical. So, well, folks, that's a wrap. What an incredible conversation with Ms. Noor Aziz today. From responsible AI and digital governance to leadership insights and mentorship, we have truly covered some ground. But I have to say, it's not every day you get to hear about such a wide reaching, impactful career with as much passion as Ms. Noor brings to the table. And I think we can all agree to this. Today's episode has been an eye opener. So if you are out there thinking about how to shape the future of business with purpose and integrity, take a page from Ms. Noor's book, Lead with Strategy, Embrace Change, and of course, always do it with a little bit of courage. So thank you so much, Ms. Noor, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And to all our amazing listeners, do not forget leadership is a journey and you are all on the right path. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep making an impact.
Thank you
Once
so
again,
much,
Ms. Noor,
Sunny. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you once again for joining us, Ms. Noor. And I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, signing off for now. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and most importantly, lead with integrity. Thank you so much.